You know what state he was executed in?
Alabama, Texas,
Florida.
Oh.
He's the one who broke into the sorority house at Florida State and bludgeoned girls to death.
Oh my God.
And he was this charming, debonair, oh, I love you, I want to be around you, and everybody thought it was a really good idea. Then once he got them alone with him, he would kill them. So he was very deceptive to lure them in. But he broke into a sorority house, beat women, bludgeoned them. They kept him in the prison for years and years, but he did get executed. I would say it was 10 years ago, and it'll be 20. But I remember the big, long trials. You can see his stuff. There's a movie about it.
Let's say Netflix, is it who's watched Mindhunter? I mean, that's all antisocial.
Yeah.
Murder.
These people are dangerous. There's just no way to describe it. They're dangerous. Okay, let's look at what the deal is on these folks. Okay, this is the key deal. A pervasive pattern of disregard for and violation of the rights of others occurring since age 15 years. And you're going to have to remember 15 years and 18 years. I'm going to show you why, because you have to distinguish this from conduct disorder. And it's all in here. I make a little bit of a diversion, but you'll have to make a distinction. You have to have 3 or more of these. Failure to conform to social norms with respect to law by repeatedly performing acts or grounds for arrest. These people have a criminal record. It's very difficult not to have one. Deceitfulness, as indicated by repeated lying, use of aliases, or conning others for personal profit or pleasure. So they are manipulating people through lying. And the deception isn't just with the voice, it's with the appearance and the behavior and everything. It looks like one thing, but it's something else. Impulsivity or failure to plan ahead. They just kind of, I think I want to kill her. So it might just be kind of working it up, and I'm going to get you and draw you in, get you in the car, take you out to the lover's point, and then bludgeon you to death. And that will be the end. Irritability and aggressiveness, as indicated by repeated physical fights or assaults. Reckless disregard for the safety of self or others. Consistent irresponsibility. Failure as evidenced by repeated failure to sustain consistent work behavior or honor financial obligations. They usually have a series of jobs. They'll work for a while, then they'll quit. They'll work for a while, then they'll be fired. They'll work for a while, and then they'll move on to another location, because once you get figured out in your location, you got to go to a new location. Lack of remorse. This is kind of the scary part to me. Indifferent to or rationalizing having hurt, mistreated, or stolen from another. So they really don't care. They don't have a sense that they've done anything bad. And the individual is at least 18 years old at the point you call it antisocial personality disorder. There is evidence of a conduct disorder, this is another DSM-5 category, with onset before age 15. And I'll show you what those criteria are here in a minute. Back. All right. Okay, the occurrence of antisocial behavior not exclusively during the course of schizophrenia or manic episode. In fact, they really don't come across as crazy at all. They actually seem pretty normal until they do something really on the extremes, and then it's too late. Okay, so here's a little clip about this.
People with narcissistic or obsessive personality disorders can be difficult to live with, but people with antisocial personality disorders can be dangerous. And while some function within society's boundaries, others, such as the prisoners you will see in this television program, are violent people who have committed serious crimes. It is estimated that up to 4% of the population has antisocial personality disorder, with men outnumbering women 4 to 1.
My name's Dean Lindstrom. I'm 37 years old. I'm doing a second-degree life sentence with 5, 18 to 20 concurrent sentences for the 4 to 5 from and after. The crime that I'm in on is a murder. It was drug-related. And I've been in since, I came in originally in 1978, and I escaped in 1979, and I've been back since 1980. Ran out of money. I wanted to go get drunk down in Cambridge. I lived out in the outskirts, out in in a smaller town from the inner city. And I ran out of money. It was late at night, and I wanted to go down and get loaded. And it was sort of along the lines of, I wasn't weighing the consequences of what it was, and even if I was weighing the consequences, I really didn't care. I wasn't looking that far ahead. I certainly wasn't looking far enough ahead to say, I'm going to spend the next 17 or 18 years of my life in jail. Specifically, I murdered a guy in his kitchen. I shot his wife in the chest. I hit her in the face with the gun. I beat the husband prior and during the course of this whole thing. And my thoughts during that whole affair were along the lines of, what the hell do you think you're doing? And when it came down to making a decision, the gun had been like going back and forth, aimed at my head, aimed at his head, aimed back at me, and we were in a struggle. And the last thought that I recall, really that I can recall that I had was, now you're going to die. And that was it. It was sort of like a decision that was made. I was mad. I was, it's crazy, but indignant that he'd be fighting with me.
Oh, gosh. All right. That's not good.
This is actually kids like this, well, because they're not 18 yet, they can't be diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder, but that's primarily what I've worked with for.
So you've seen the folks who
Oh,
got
yeah, I
in
got
trouble
lots of
repetitively.
stories.
Yeah, it's a difficult population of people. Oh gosh, and so that's why if you're in a prison population, a lot of people have antisocial personality disorder, so you have to be very careful. There's a lot of reasons why people say you could die in prison. There's just people in there. His whole thing, he was indignant that they were fighting back. I'm trying to kill you, and you just need to comply with me while I kill you, as opposed to fighting back like, how dare you? It's like, that's just frightening of that sense of lack of remorse for doing anything. Yeah.
Aren't these the kids that kill small animals when they're younger? And
Hold on, we're coming to that. There's more. So here we go. As I said, at least 18 years old, there's evidence of the conduct disorder with onset before age 15 years. So let's kind of keep creeping ahead. Look at this, 3 to 5% of men, 1% of women. Most common in poor urban areas, 75% of these people are in prison. There's a familial pattern present among first-degree relatives. And as you asked Paul Rakowski back when we're going to do psychopath, here it is. This pattern is also referred to as psychopathy, sociopathy, or dissocial personality disorder. So psychopath, sociopath, that's who these people are. They're antisocial personality disorders. How do you deal with them? Like, discharge them from your practice. Set firm limits. Try not to be manipulated. Easier said than done. If you don't identify the behavior early enough, have a high level of skepticism and be careful not to prescribe excessive and or unnecessary medications. They've got impulse behavior control anyway. You want to disinhibit them further. Who knows what you're doing? Yes?
So for homework assignment, everybody should watch American Psycho. Who has seen that? That is antisocial personality disorder, 100%. And it's not for male.
It's scary. Okay, you heard it, that's going to be on the test. Okay, we're going to do a detour because I want you to understand conduct disorder because it's kind of one of the you got to distinguish the two. Here you've got, we're going to detour away from personality disorders, which is a category in DSM-5, and there is another category called disruptive impulse control and conduct disorders. So here's the detour. Here's the conduct disorder. Repetitive, persistent pattern of behavior in which the basic rights of others or major age-appropriate societal norms or rules are violated. Okay, so it's not that different from antisocial personality disorder so far. It's manifested by presence of at least 3 of the following 15 criteria, 15, with in the past 12 months from any of the categories below. So there's several categories. See, you've got aggression to people and animals, you've got destruction of property, you've got deceitfulness or theft, and you've got serious violations of rules. So look at the kind of stuff in here. Aggression to people or animals, bullies, threatens, or intimidates others, initiates physical fights, uses a weapon that causes serious physical harm, bat, brick, broken bottle, physically cruel to people, physically cruel to animals. That's where they get off on me. If anybody hurt my dog, I would be not in a good mood. I would hate that. But I don't know how people do it. To me, when you think about being cruel to an animal, there's something really kind of nauseating about that. And how do you do something mean like that to an animal that really wouldn't do anything mean back to you? So there's something really disturbed in that brain that would make somebody do that. Has stolen while confronting a victim, like mugging, purse snatching, extortion. Has forced someone into sexual activity. So this is rape. Okay. But can you have a charge of rape in somebody who is at a younger age? Okay, what do you call that? Okay, destruction of property, fire setting, destroying other people's property with something other than fire. That's pyromania for the sake of getting somebody, hurting them. Deceitfulness or theft, broken into somebody's house, lies to get goods or favors to avoid obligations, like con people. Stolen items of non-trivial value without confronting a victim, like shoplifting, breaking and entering, forgery. And then serious violation of rules. Stays out at night despite parental prohibitions beginning before age 13 years. This is the parents who have children that won't get right no matter what you do, and they kind of drive them crazy. Has run away from home overnight at least twice while living in a parental or parental surrogate home, or once without returning for a lengthy period. Just go away. Is often truant from school beginning from age 13. If the individual is 18 years of age or older, the criteria are not met for any social personality disorder or conduct. Okay, if you're 15 years old, you cannot have a personality disorder by criteria. You would have to be a conduct disorder. If you are 18 years old, then you could be a conduct disorder, or you could be a personality antisocial personality disorder, but you would have to be sure your criteria were met. So the break point is 18. Below that, you cannot be antisocial. Conduct disorder, the behaviors have to be happening before the age of 15. So there's the 15, 18 you got to look at. If I tell you that somebody's 17 years old and I give you personality disorder as a possibility, that is not the right answer. Okay, it can't be. You'd have to be in conduct disorder or something else. Okay. Okay, now back from the detour, we're kind of back on the main road, so we're back up to borderline personality disorder. Woe is you if you get one of these people. They are difficult. Whew. Okay. This is a pervasive pattern of instability of interpersonal relationships. These people can't maintain a relationship or anything. They're maddening. Please hope you don't fall in love with a borderline personality, because they will ruin your life. They really will. Terrible. So they have instability of self-image. They look good, they don't look good. I've got problems, I don't have problems. They have instability of affects, and they have marked impulsivity. So the issue is, who am I looking at today? Who's here today with that personality type? They have to have 5 or more of the following: frantic efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment. Okay? They're in love with you, but you're not in love with them. So they're going to do anything to keep you with them, including eliminating rivals one way or the other. Okay? In pretty extreme ways. A pattern of unstable and intense interpersonal relationships characterized by alternating between idealization and devaluation. I love you, you're the best, I don't know anybody like you, you're the most amazing person. You are a low-life piece of S. And then as soon as they kind of get that, then they go back to, I don't know what I was saying. This is what I really think. It's just that kind of emotional tug of war. In fact, if you start feeling in your guts that something doesn't quite fit right with somebody in their behaviors, you need to start thinking borderline personality, because there is usually a consistency to the way a person responds. You know, it might be 90 times in a row they're one way, and then they might be mad. Okay, that's just what's going on today, what's happening in your life. But when you're and it's just kind of emotional and kind of extreme, erratic, that's a problem. That's not normal. Identity disturbance, marked and persistently unstable self-image or sense of self. Impulsivity in at least 2 areas that are potentially self-damaging. So they will do self-damage. Spending, sex, substance abuse, reckless driving, binge eating. Okay, this is not normal behavior. Another one, recurrent suicidal behavior, gestures or threats or self-mutilating behavior. They will cut themselves, they'll do things, to manipulate. Affective instability due to marked reactivity of mood. Episodic dysphoria, irritability, or anxiety, usually lasting a few hours and only rarely more than a few days. So that's why I'm saying, who are you today? Who are you? What are you going to act like? The people who know them are almost afraid to have to interact with it, because the good part they like, that's what drew them in. The bad part they don't know if they deal with. Then it's like, but I love them. But they're driving me crazy. But I love them. And they have a hard time breaking out of it. Okay. Inappropriate, intense anger or difficulty controlling anger, like displays of temper, constant anger, recurrent physical fights. Their rages are so extreme as to be, what is wrong with that? That is really messed up. And then transient stress-related paranoid ideation or severe dissociative symptoms. They're not even really fully integrated at times. So let's look at this.
People want to know what it's like living with borderline personality disorder. It feels like you aren't living at all, or you're possibly too alive. You're a person that feels the highest of high and the lowest low. You're easily triggered by small things. The way a person looks at their watch while talking to you makes you feel unheard. Someone telling you to think positive or change makes you feel unseen. People telling you that suicide is for cowards makes you feel misunderstood. You find yourself living somewhat normal and even happy one day. Then something triggers you, and you quickly abandon everything and anything that you're close to. Relationships are the hardest. You find yourself constantly pushing the people you love the most away, while the voices in your head are screaming, stop. But you can't. And you slowly begin to destroy the relationships you care about the most. At times you find yourself to be a burden, impossible for anyone to ever love. At times you shine so bright and feel loved, but it can easily turn to dark when you're triggered by some small, hurtful comment. Anger pulses through your body, and you struggle to control the darkness upon yourself. In order to control the pain, you can inflict harm on your body, telling yourself you deserve it, or to prove you're alive. There's a constant thought of not wanting to live that you carry. At times it feels like a warm blanket. Other times you feel trapped in a nightmare. Trusting people is difficult. There can be a fear that they will see the real you, the dark you, that you believe is unlovable. Most of the time, you may struggle to know who you really are. It's difficult to express how you really feel, and you end up appearing like a tornado, destroying relationships and opportunities. It can feel like the world's against you, and that things are happening to you. Once the tornado has begun, you are hard to reach. You are a warrior in the dark forest with no compass and are unable to tell who the actual enemy is. So, you never feel safe. Once the darkness becomes strong, you begin to implode, destroying yourself and any trace of you. Then you have two choices. You can reach out for help, or you may attempt a suicide. But as a borderline, you are resilient, and you try again. You suffered so deeply, so much of the time. You push on, searching for hope, love, and compassion. I am borderline.
What is the likelihood you think that relationship goes anywhere? You know, at a certain point, the other person is going to have a hard time just accepting this is the way it's going to go. And so they may move on. 1 to 2% of the population, some reports has 5.9%. That would be scary. I think the lower number suits me better. Women account for 75% of cases. So, you know, this is the bad personality disorder in the female population, just like antisocial is the bad personality type in the male population. 5 times more common in first-degree biological relatives of those with the disorder, which is a little bit scary. Increased prevalence of major depression, alcohol abuse, dependence, and substance abuse. And I think you can see why, given that tortured soul that they seem to have. So how do you interact with them if you are a provider? Be aware of and anticipate defenses. Be aware that they often regress through self-sabotage or treatment plans. If they're in that phase where they don't feel like they are worthy or any good, and they're kind of wanting to destroy themselves, and they won't do what you say, and they'll come back and they'll just be all apart. It's like, where did that come from? I see you shaking your head, Professor, or you've had people who have done that. I had one that one time, and I think for probably 3 or 4 months, everybody had a hard time working with her. And I actually worked with her fairly well, and she was doing good. And I had a psychologist working in the practice too, and she said, watch out. She said, one day she's going to blow up on you, and that's going to be it. And I thought, yeah, I'll work with her. I'm going to have a talent. And she came in one day, and she let me have it, every word in the book you wanted to name, and just had not done anything, and got mad and wanted something, and just went on and on. It was not good. And then for that point forward, it's like, okay, might be a really, really pretty snake, but we don't handle it, and we don't get in striking distance. And then it's like, okay, you stay there, and I'll stay here, it'll be okay. Like that. Can you have any experience you want to share?
Oh, I can't think of the self-sabotaging. Like they'll stop taking their medicine. You know, like especially with depression or bipolar or something. Mm-hmm. Stop taking their medicine and then come back in and they'll want to have a confrontation with you because it's your fault that they're not taking the medicine. Mm-hmm. You know, just that kind of interaction.
And just blame.
And they can be sweet, over the top. You know, just again too warm.
Yeah.
And then, but boy, when they turn, they are as mean as they can be.
You know, the one I'm thinking of, she kept saying, you're just different. I really like you. They just butter you up. And, you know, you're not like all the rest of them. And you're really special.
Again, that
blah,
should
blah,
make
blah.
you
And you're sitting there, okay, you sucker, you idiot.
Especially if they got really red lipstick and big earrings.
Yeah, they work it. They do. You want to provide open and continuous communication with staff. You need to let everybody who works in the office area know what's going on, because they will manipulate through other people back to you.
I like to count the toe rings too. One toe ring, okay, I'm okay with. But like you got 5, 6, 7 toe rings on.
Just
Probably some type of personality disorder.
yeah. Maintain stable and calm reactions. Okay, don't get into the emotional reactivity with them. And then you want to be sure that you gently confront when needed. This is tough to confront not a bipolar, but a borderline personality disorder when confrontation needs to happen. Set fair and consistent limits on acting out. Okay, and just good luck. Don't have some high expectation that you are some miracle worker. I really think a lot of it has to do with our expectations of what we should be able to accomplish, and really you have to just stop that kind of thinking. Okay, histrionic personality disorder. This is a pretty good one. Okay, a pervasive pattern of excessive emotionality and attention seeking. Now the toe ring person
That could be histrionic.
could fit into this one too. At an early age, 5 or more of the following is uncomfortable in situations in which he or she is not the center of attention. Has to be in the middle of it all. Interaction with others is often characterized by inappropriate, sexually seductive or provocative behavior. If you're male and they come up there sidling up to you and moving their body clothes, look out. That's not normal. It isn't that you're all that. It's the kind of work in it. Just not healthy. Displays rapidly shifting and shallow expression of emotions. Okay, shallow is kind of a good way to describe that. And consistently uses physical appearance to draw attention to self. Okay, has a style of speech that is excessively impressionistic and lacking in detail. Shows self-dramatization, theatricality, and exaggerated expression. Yeah, hand movements, big clothes, boas, lots of, they got bling, they got stitches in their hair and all this stuff. Is suggestible, easily influenced by others or circumstances, considers relationships to be more intimate than they actually are. Well, my doctor just loves me. They just love me. Okay, let's see who's histrionic. Who do we have?
I want to see a fancy city to discover what he's been missing. I wish I didn't have to work so much. He'll need a little help. I need to from some old friends.
We're not doing 11 minutes, but I'll give you a flavor.
She's a star, isn't it? We're just a little
Regina George.
Regina George. How will you begin to explain Regina George? Regina George is flawless. She has 2 Fendi purses and a silver Lexus.
I hear her hair's in a shirt for $10,000.
I hear she does car commercials in Japan. Her favorite movie is Varsity Blues.
One time she met John Stamos on a plane, and he told her she was pretty.
One time she punched me in the face. It was awesome.
Obviously, Regina's got it all. She is the leader of the Mean Girl clique and makes everyone feel inferior. Regina comes from a very wealthy family, doesn't work, and has everything handed to her. What most people don't realize is the abnormal relationship Regina has with her parents. Her mom would rather hang out with Regina and her friends than be a parent figure. Regina's parents gave up the master bedroom just because Regina demanded it.
Regina is very preoccupied with her looks. She constantly talks about how she's fat or not pretty enough, and she often seeks confirmation about her body and looks through her friends and other people. Her obsession with her appearance is probably one of her biggest weaknesses, as she spends much of her time seeking new ways of losing weight. The abnormal behavior and personality traits that Regina displays characterize histrionic personality disorder.
Oh, no. Didn't anybody tell you?
You were supposed to wear a costume.
Shut up. I
need to talk to you. You know that girl Katie?
Yeah, she's cool. I invited her tonight.
Well, be careful because she has a huge crush on you.
Really? How do you know?
Because she told me. She tells everybody. It's kind of cute, actually. She's like a little girl. She like writes all over her notebook, Mrs. Erin Samuels. And she made this t-shirt that says, I Heart Erin, and she wears it under all her clothes.
Oh, come on.
Well, who can blame her? I mean, you're gorgeous. And okay, look, I'm not saying she's a stalker, but she saved this Kleenex you used, and she said she's gonna do some kind of African voodoo with it to make you like her.
What?
This was it. Regina said she would talk to Erin for me, and now she was.
I know she's kind of socially retarded and weird, but she's my friend, so just promise me you won't make fun of her.
Of course I'm not going to make fun of her.
How could Janice hate Regina? She was such a good...
Histrionic personality disorder is a condition in which people act in a very emotional and dramatic way that draws attention to themselves. Someone with this disorder wants to be the center of attention in any group of people, and they feel uncomfortable when they're not. While people with this disorder are often lively and interesting, they have difficulty accepting when people aren't focused exclusively on them. They may be perceived as being shallow and often engage in sexually seductive behavior to get attention.
Wait. Sit down. Seriously, sit down.
You get it.
Why don't I know you?
We have to watch Mean Girls now, right?
Yeah, now you get to, we can just break out of this whole thing and just go to Mean Girls.
Have you ever seen Mean Girls?
Yeah. Like, it's on once every week. I mean, it's on all the time. Yeah, I've watched it. I like it. It's at the place now where it's a background movie. If you want to watch something when you really need to focus on something else, you can leave it on because you know you're not going to miss the story, but you can watch the parts you like the most. So that's kind of the way I do it. 1.84% of the population, similar prevalence among men and women most likely, may use a suicide gesture to get attention. So they're extremely focused on getting you to pay attention to them. How do you interact with them? Similar to those that you use with the borderline personality disorder, but you have to remember medical illnesses threaten their sense of attractiveness and self-image, so that will be a problem for them if they have something that will make them lose their shape, their figure, their looks. A cancer diagnosis with chemo would be a devastation, for a person like that. Okay, narcissistic personality disorder. Interesting too. Okay. All right, the basic feature, pervasive pattern of grandiosity, either in fantasy, in their mind, or in their behavior. The need for admiration and the lack of empathy. Okay? They are all about them, and they are something else, let me tell you. 5 or more of the following. Grandiose sense of self-importance. For example, they exaggerate achievements and talents, expect to be recognized as superior without commensurate achievements. They kind of falsify stuff too. Is what they were. They're the class president. I was the star of this. Go verify. It's preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. They believe they're special and unique, and can only be understood by or should associate with other special high-status people or institutions. So they are people who just have to be in the top of everything, and you need to know that that's where they're going to do. And they probably aren't going to mess with you if you're kind of mediocre to the bottom of the stack of whatever thing you're in. They're probably not going to associate with you too much because you're just not with it. You're not there. They require excessive admiration. They have a sense of entitlement. They should get promotions. They should be in charge. They should be on the top. And if they don't get that, then I don't know why you can't see it. It's just a mistake on your part. They're exploitative, take advantage of others to achieve their own needs. So that's exploit, manipulate, lack empathy. That's another one of these lacking empathy. They are often envious of others or believe that others are envious about them because if they're the best thing in the world, then of course people are jealous. Their arrogant, haughty behavior and attitudes. Okay, let's see who is behind that clip.
Hey Ryan, the new LG G7 ThinQ can help you buy some sweet kicks. Cops?
On an all-new Dr. Phil. Do you know a narcissist?
This is their favorite item.
Their favorite word is me, 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 me. They just can't get enough of themselves.
I love looking at myself in the mirror.
It's all about me and what I want. I want him to focus solely on me.
When you are together, are you looking for your reflection in his eyes?
How do you confront narcissistic behavior?
Donna Corinne is a self-admitted narcissist who compares herself to Gandhi and the Kardashians.
I'm not sure she knows who Gandhi is.
My world revolves around me. The way you guys have edited that tape, you made me look horrible. I look like a jackass.
Is this a mischaracterization of her?
No.
Ready to get real? Subscribe to the Dr. Phil Show YouTube channel for exclusive video.
There's more. This is a two-parter.
And I'm just curious why you feel that need for it to always be about you.
I feel that it's all about me, Dr. Phil, and what I want, when I want it.
What?
Like Veruca Salt. And because it's a sense of feeling in control and feeling important. I'm an only child. I don't have any brothers and sisters. I don't feel like I have to share anything or anyone with anyone else. It's all about what I want, when I want it, right now. And if I don't get it, I'll go to the extreme to whatever it is, whatever it takes to get it.
Gee,
Look at the look on her face.
isn't that boring? That you're constantly having to maintain the vigil and kind of me. Doesn't that wear you out? Because you can never relax, because what if he looked the other way?
I'm on him all the
Well,
time.
that's what I mean.
If he
Doesn't
looks
that
the
get-
other
doesn't
way,
that
and you
get
can tell it in
tiring?
the bags in my eyes at times.
It gets tiring though,
It does
doesn't
get
it?
tiring, but you know what? The mirror's focused on me in my car. The mirrors in my home. There must be a dozen of them. The text messages are on me. I take tons of pictures of myself. I'm all about me. I'm very narcissistic. I'm almost like a narcissistic person and very proud of it. Yet
Almost
I admit
like.
it. I don't care about anything. I don't care about anyone. I don't care about anybody else's feelings.
Charming. So you live with it.
Yes, sir.
So does it work?
She's pretty
Man, how does she hit you? Does she not irritate you? I wanted to kind of get her. I was going to go antisocial and her narcissistic and take her out. Oh man. All right, let's go to the next thing here. Okay, up to 6% in the general population are narcissistic. She's like, I'm like the most narcissistic person. I'm narcissistic. I don't like one. 50 to, now this is shocking. 50 to 75% are men. That's a typo.
Was it Narcissus the man? The guy was named after?
Yeah, Narcissus and Echo, that little story. They may have special difficulty adjusting to the onset of physical and occupational limitations as they get older. What happens when a narcissist gets old? Maybe they just commit suicide. I don't know. But you know, that would be a devastation for them. So how are you going to deal with a narcissistic personality disorder in a practice? Well, they don't handle criticism very well, so you have to be careful about that. They may become easily enraged. She was just on the edge of just mean all the time. I mean, she was really, I was sitting there looking at her husband going, why are you still there? I would have been long gone. I would have broken every mirror and left the house. That's it.
That's a lot of bad luck.
Mirrors and leave. Huh?
That's a lot of
That's
bad
all
luck.
bad luck.
Worth it.
Medical illnesses can be a blow to self-esteem, so you have to be sensitive to how that might affect them. Reinforce that they are respected and appreciated, but set limits on their demanding behavior. Another one of those, good luck, okay? Okay, let's look at avoidant. We're now moving into the last ones where it's the more regressive person. We got past all the extreme, emotional, erratic ones that we've just seen. Let's look at avoidant personality disorder. Now the deal on avoidant personality disorder, pervasive pattern of social inhibition, feelings of inadequacy, and hypersensitivity to negative evaluation. Okay, 4 or more of these. They fear criticism, disapproval, or rejection, so they will avoid doing things where that could happen. So they would rather not have a job that exposed them to that than to do that and be exposed to the criticism. So they're going to avoid. Is unwilling to get involved with people unless certain of being liked. They have to know from the beginning that it's going to be okay before they can actually even open themselves to another. They show restraint within immediate relationships because of the fear of being shamed or ridiculed. So they won't be completely open because they don't want to completely get out there because they might get rejected. So they won't do it. Is preoccupied with being criticized or rejected in social situations. Preoccupied. Okay. They have feelings of inadequacy. So therefore they're inhibited in new relationships or new situations. So where they get around new people, they are not going to say a lot or mix it up a lot because they're really not certain of themselves and they don't want to risk the rejection. They view self as socially inept, personally unappealing, or inferior to others. They're usually reluctant to take personal risk or to engage in any new activities that may prove embarrassing for them. So they're just avoiding any situation, any relationship, any opening of themselves to another for fear of any kind of rejection or criticism. So that's actually kind of a bad law when you think about it because there's so much that you end up missing.
The following statements are intended to raise awareness for a personality disorder known as avoidant personality disorder. So let's talk about some avoidant personality disorder facts. About 2.4% of the general population suffers from avoidant personality disorder. APD is characterized by a pervasive pattern of social inhibition, feelings of inadequacy, and hypersensitive to negative evaluation. Most individuals who meet the criteria of APD are described as extremely shy, fearful of disapproval, and social rejection. While most people have certain feelings of insecurities, for people with APD, these failures are extremely intense. Diagnosis is rarely made on individuals younger than 18 years old. 1 in 5 young adults suffer from a personality disorder. People suffering from APD are very anxious that they will react to criticism with blushing or crying. People with APD also tend to avoid relationships where they aren't 100% sure that they will not be rejected. They are so fearful of being rejected that they give no one an opportunity to reject them or to accept them either. Usually, people suffering from APD have few or no friends, although they yearn for an intimate relationship. They always feel lonely and depressed. They crave acceptance and affections from other people. If you or someone you love needs help, get help today. Avoidant personality disorder is treatable with therapy and it can be overcome. There are many different types of therapy available for avoidant personality disorder.
Of population. Do you know any people who are like this that actually just are hard to know? It's hard to know a lot of them because they aren't people that you can go know, unless you're within that immediate circle. Equally frequent in both sexes, starts in childhood with shyness. This is kind of like shyness gone wild, at a full-blown level. Fear of strangers, etc. So what do you do if you have an avoidant personality disorder? Patience and understanding, Medical illnesses may be embarrassing to them because they're afraid they'll be rejected because they have X and now they have this disability. Minimize new and unfamiliar staff contacts with them, so it's good when they are with people who can keep them built up and safe within that relationship. Respond with calm and reassuring demeanor and do not criticize them. You have to be really careful not to criticize, because if you do, then that might be the end, for that relationship. Okay. I'm going to stop here because we only have 2 other personality disorders and we're going to do those on Thursday. I want y'all to have a chance to get up because I am going to move to this other room because it's just too hot. Dr. Latessi won't be able to function in here, and it's the end of the day, so we got to do something. So let's get up and move, and we'll go over here and I'm going to get the D2L up and see if I can get her set. Okay, is that fair? Let's just go do it.